chat vlog today. Just talk to you about what I've been reading lately, what's coming up that I'm about to start reading, and just thoughts and opinions on the whole thing. I'll have to come back for some more book commentary when I'm done playing Disneyland. Wally, can you say hi? My helpers. Oh, you're such a good girl. Sweeper. Hi, baby. Yes, you're a good boy. These are my reading buddies. Okay, we'll have to see how much I can get through before Daisy decides we're done. So, gosh, I haven't sat at my desk in a while. It's dirty. Okay, I have most of the books I'm going to talk about today in physical copy, and then there are one or two maybe that I either read on Kindle or audiobook. So I don't have physical copies for a few of them, but most of them I do. Okay, so I'm going to start with The Compound because I just finished it this morning. So I just read this book, The Compound, by, I think you pronounce it Aisling. I'm sorry if that's wrong. I'm Irish descent too, I should know, but I don't. Rawl. And this is her debut novel, and it was already like on Book of the Month, so you go, girl. And it was good. I mean, it's very interesting. It's an addictive premise, really. It pulls you in and you want to keep reading it. So she did that on that, and it's just like a good narrative of, consumerism and just everything that's sort of going on in the world. But so basically the premise is like a reality TV show in the middle of the desert in this compound, and you can't see anything around you but like a couple bushfires, and I think it's supposed to be 10 guys and 10 girls to start the contest, and like you can't go to sleep if you have to share a bed with somebody or you get kicked out. So you have to be like coupled up, and you basically can get you do community challenges to get stuff for the house. So you need food, and it needs to be stocked. And then you can also do personal tasks and get stuff for yourself, but they can't talk about anything that happens outside of the compound. So they don't know each other's jobs, they don't have a phone, there's no TV, no way to track time, and it's just really wild. And I don't know, it's just man, people are crazy. The main character, Lily, is a young 20-something-year-old, most of them are young, but it's just what lengths she'll go to for stuff. And once you get that stuff, what are you gonna do with it? You're in the middle of the desert. Are you gonna drag it out of the desert with you? It was good. It was really well done, and there was a lot of suspense kind of. I just kept waiting for crazy stuff to happen, and sometimes it did. So it was good. I finished it quickly. So I think if you're a fan of reality TV, you would love it. And even if you're not, just the narrative of like overconsumption and the world is on fire, kind of that vibe, you know. So, also, please don't mind this. This is one of my last rooms to like paint and wallpaper. And the previous owners, I guess they had a shelf with like a stack of books that they didn't feel like they needed to move to paint right behind it. I mean, why? Why couldn't we not just paint that? It drives me crazy. Actually, if you have any suggestions about what color to paint this room, comment down below. Okay, so that was good. I enjoyed that, the compound. I read Cleopatra and Frankenstein recently, and this is my second novel by Coco Mellers. I also read The Blue Sisters, and I think that the best thing about this book is the cover. It's very like, I'm not gonna say totally highbrow, but it's a little pretentious. You know, just if you like that, you probably won't eat it up. But it's about this couple, Cleo and Frank, and they meet on New Year's Eve, and they're 15-year age difference, which that's the main reason that I wanted to read this book, because I was curious, and the commentary would be with the age gap, because my husband and I are 15 years apart, so I'm always just curious, like, what that take's gonna be. I'm like, do you know we're a trope? It was okay. I don't know if I would like necessarily recommend it unless you really like, I don't know, more of like a highbrow read. It takes place in New York City, and they meet, and it's pretty like instant connection. They get married very quickly, and it takes you through the first year of their marriage and just how it affects the people in their lives, their families, and it's definitely not a romance as a contemporary fiction, but it's just sort of like, you know, how we're all intertwined. I'm skipping. I know it wouldn't be long. I think we were talking about Cleopatra and Frank, and I'm not sure I really have much more to say about it. It was okay. I wasn't really that crazy about Blue Sisters, so I don't know what I was really expecting. I probably liked Blue Sisters better than this, but the cover is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Okay, I also read The Time of Your Life by Jessa Hastings. I know that she's problematic, okay? I understand, but I love Magnolia Parks. I do. I don't know, it's just like, I can just read those books so fast. It's more addicting than The Compound or reality TV. It's like, I don't know, and I get why people don't like it. I do, I understand, and I get why people can't get down with her writing. Like, it really makes no sense. I mean, but this book, especially if you don't like Magnolia Parks, especially if you already have issues with Jessa, do not read this book. It was, first of all, there were so many grammatical errors, misspelled words. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, one or two, you know, we're humans, but the amount in this book was wild. I mean, I I think she just wrote it and then it was just published. That's just has to be what happened, because there's no other explanation. Anyways, it's basically Magnolia and BJ. I'm not kidding. It's so many similarities. And it really, I was like, oh yes, I'm gonna love this. It's 1995. There's boy bands. There's, 90s. I mean, I was born in 1988. That is like me all day, okay? But no. And there was really nothing to even let you know that you were in the 90s. I don't know. I was less than impressed. You have a boy band problematic character. You have a very, very popular female model, and they meet, and it's their relationship saga and like the dramas of that. So I don't know. It was not good. And I think it's supposed to be a series. I will not be continuing it. And you know what else too is I read The Conditions of Will. And as somebody, okay, that was born and raised in the South of the United States, I really don't need an Australian girl's commentary on what it's like to be raised in the South or grow up in the South. It was just so misguided. I did not like the Southern slander, okay? And I am a progressive person. I understand that some things can be problematic and some families can be problematic, and religious trauma and all this and that. I get it. Trust me. But to have that be all that there really is, it's not realistic. And it's not how the South is. So, I don't know. I didn't appreciate that. I hope that now that she's a Southern native living in Tennessee, that she can recognize her misguided ways and maybe understand that there's more to the South than that. Anyways, moving on. Okay, what else did I read? I had a lot of flops, honestly, guys. It's been a long time since I've read like a 5-star read. Okay, I read Pictures of You, another book that the cover's the best part. First of all, okay, this as well as a whole competition show, everything crazy happening. Like this, there was no reason for this to be this long. And I have no issues with a lengthy book. Sometimes they're too short, but like 409 pages, I don't need that. This was so boring. I don't know, it felt very surface level, this book, especially with the premise was so interesting. I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. Like, I don't know how it was written so flat that I just didn't care about any of the characters. I mean, truly. And it was just not believable to me. Like, I didn't believe any of these relationships. You have your main character, Evie, and she's in a horrible car accident with her husband, Oliver. This is the beginning of the story, so I'm not ruining anything or giving any spoilers away. But Oliver dies, okay? And Evie wakes up in the hospital and she has like traumatic brain amnesia and doesn't remember anything. The last thing she remembers is being 16 years old, and she is like 30 or in her early 30s. I don't remember if it's exactly 30, but in her early 30s. So she basically wakes up and is 16, and she has no idea like what's going on. She ends up seeing like her husband's parents are very problematic. She finds out that she's no longer in contact with her own parents or her best friend, and it's just her like sort of like piecing together how this happened, where did everything go so wrong, and there's this character Drew that she meets outside of the funeral that's sort of like helping her get her memory back and realize what's going on. But I mean, I just didn't care much. Like I'm saying, everything was very surface level. For this book to be this long, you'd think you could go more into character development and stuff, but it was just like, this person is this way because that's just the way that they were. There's also just trauma and abusive relationships, and I'm just like, I don't know, I feel like it was unnecessary, honestly. But the cover's pretty. Also, if you guys don't know about Book of the Month and you like to read physical copies of books, I would definitely suggest Book of the Month. It's a subscription, a monthly subscription, and it's $18, and you get to choose. I mean, the books are beautiful. They're all custom printed for Book of the Month, and printed in the USA. Like, I don't know if you can even see that, but they just all are really gorgeous books, and hardback books are not cheap, especially new releases. So you get a nice hardback book for $18, and then after you've got maybe like 3 boxes sent from them, you can start doing add-ons, and every add-on is $11 to add on. However, I think you can add on 5. You can't like add on however many you want, but still, I mean, for $11. So it's a good way to like build your library if you want a library, or if you just like pretty books. They're always very pretty. Okay, then I read These Summer Storms. This was good. I enjoyed this. It's a very wealthy family drama. So it's all contemporary fiction, family dynamics, just messy grief, love, family trauma, all that. The main character is Alice Storm, and she's a member of the Storm family, which is like basically Steve Jobs is the dad, pretty much. And they have an island off of Rhode Island that they have this big beautiful house on, where they go every summer. And at the beginning of the story, you find out Alice hasn't been back for 5 years. So she's been estranged from her family for 5 years, and you're sort of like piecing together what happened. The dad sounds like a real character. He is very much like a mind game, making you do this, and you might get this, and just a very like messy guy, he sounds like. Well, he passes away, and so in order to, you know, go to the funeral, obviously, but like, I think there's a last Olympics that they have to do, and everybody has something different that they need to complete, a task they need to complete, her and her siblings and her mom. before they can get an inheritance or anything like that. So it's drama, it's family dynamics and relationships, it's grief, it's death, it's all that. Did you lose your ball? I think we lost the ball. Hold on. Did you lose your ball? There it is. Get it. Good girl. Okay. But it was really good, and it was really well done, and I enjoyed it, and there's a little bit of romance. But it was good. It was a good story. I liked it. Okay, I also read The Other Side of Now by Paige Harbison. This might also be a debut novel. No, it's not actually at all. Okay, never mind. This was fun. This was sort of like magical realism. It was also grief. So I'm not gonna be like, this was a great ride. It was sad, too, but it was good. It's a story of this girl and her best friend, and they grow up in Florida, and they dream of being actresses, and they have big plans, and they want to go to this acting school in Ireland together, and that's like their goal. And the main girl, Meg, she gets accepted, and her best friend Amy doesn't, and so they don't end up going, and they end up going to school in Florida, and then Amy dies. That's also not a spoiler. It's, I'm pretty sure on the jacket, I don't know. Yeah, so she dies, and Meg is just grief-stricken and sick, and she still moves on to LA, and she becomes like a huge character on this soap opera, and she achieves her goals and everything, and she's, I don't think she's married to him, but she's dating like this huge Hollywood action movie star, and she's got this beautiful house and everything that she ever wanted. She goes by Lana Lord now, and she's still not fulfilled, and she's still just searching for ways to, you know, fulfill herself. So she figures, like, I have everything I've ever worked for and dreamed of, and I'm still not happy. So one night she's having this party at her, it's her birthday. She's having her birthday party at her house, and everybody's there, and she's just like on the outside looking in. You know, she's just checked out pretty much. So she books herself a trip to Ireland, to the same place that they wanted to go to school, her and Amy. So she books this flight. She wakes up, she goes, she is in Ireland, and she walks down to the local pub, and she shortly realizes, like, people know her, but not because she's an actress. Like, they know her as Meg, her old name, as she doesn't go by anymore, and she's lived there. Like, she's had a whole life there. And then she shortly realizes Amy is alive and lives there. So it's basically like alternative timelines, like, you know, these timelines get crossed, and it's like two things are happening at once, sort of like parallel lives combining with each other, a crossover. And so it's just really crazy, and Amy and her are no longer speaking, and she's sort of trying to figure out, like, first of all, how the hell are you alive? What's going on? And why aren't we friends anymore? Pretty much. So it's crazy, it's good, it's heartbreaking, it's original. So it was good. It was a good book. I feel like that's one of those books that, like, you know, down the line in a couple years or a year or whatever, I could read it again, and it would be like reading it again for the first time. So that's good. That's exciting. Okay, then I have last book that I'll talk to you about is My Friends by Frederick Bachman. I love him. I love his writing style. I love his take on the human experience and how he so easily can see so clearly and tell a story so clearly from so many different viewpoints. Like Beartown, it's another one of his, it's a series, it's 3 books, but he can speak from the viewpoint of a female teenager, and you're like, yeah, girl. Like, he writes so relatably, and just the way that he writes about like the mundane and the human experience and grief and tragedy and love and relationships and just everything. Is a wizard with the pen. So I adore his writing style. I love his books, and he's funny. Like there's always humor in his books, which thank goodness, because they're usually pretty heavy. Like Anxious People was great, and it was heartbreaking and tragic and funny and witty. He always can lighten things up. But this book, it's taken me time. I've had to put it aside multiple times. I'm on chapter 26, so I'm on page 206 right now. I've been reading it for 2 months. But it's beautiful. The writing is beautiful. Of course, the story is beautiful, but it is so, for me personally right now, heavy. Like I have some personal stuff going on right now that reading about grief and loss is just hitting me in like a whole other way that I don't know if it would, but my stepdad has stage 4 terminal cancer. He was diagnosed a little over a year ago, and so just reading about that, and I don't know, it's just been harder than I think it normally would be. But the story is gorgeous. It's 4 best friends, but the cover is the 3 guys swimming. This is a famous painting, okay? Well, not specifically this, but there is a famous painting. And it's a huge deal, and this artist that made it is a huge deal. Very decorated and celebrated, and there's a girl, Louisa, and she grew up in foster care and had a very rough upbringing, and she would carry this postcard around with her everywhere. That was like her safety blanket, and she just admired this artist so much, and she could see things in the painting that like nobody else would see. And she herself is also an artist. So she's 18 and she wants to go see this painting. They're showing it at this gallery, and she goes, and she ends up behind the gallery. Like, she finds this, he looks homeless, this guy, and he's like tagging the building, and she starts doing it with him. Well, it turns out it's this artist, and he's very, very sick, and he's dying. And it's just a story of how, which I can't really tell you because I'm only halfway through, but I don't know, it's a story of connection and art and love and grief, and how we can find beautiful things and very, very tragic things. And what really, really like gets me in this book is the artist's outlook. and that's pretty much what he's called in the book, is the artist. He has a name, but that's what the artist is, like, what they call him. So that's why I keep saying that. But it's just his outlook on life and his positivity and his joy even in death is like, it's just gut-wrenching. It's like you hope and pray that one day you can be that gracious, you know, when it's your time. But it's just like this passage right here. Hold on. Sorry, it's just mom life, you know. Okay, so just this passage. He's almost 40 years old and he's lived a long life. Guys, Ruthie, come here. Come here. No, chill. We're being calm. Stop. Okay. He's almost 40 years old and he's lived a long life, remarkably long, and anyone who says otherwise is a liar. Hi, bud. They're gonna, okay, it is about to start storming. I don't know about where you live, but where I live, it has been the wettest summer. It's been crazy the amount of rain we've gotten. Okay, third time. He's almost 40 years old and he's lived a long life, remarkably long, and anyone who says otherwise is a liar. He has seen the world, fallen in love on white beaches, danced to loud music on warm nights, and wasted slow mornings under soft sheets. He has painted and giggled and sung all the things he never dared dream about when he was 14 and had cuts on his wrists and pills in his back pocket. He has lived, dear Lord, how he has lived. That's all of life, all you can hope for. You mustn't think about the fact that it might end, because then you live like a coward. You never love too much or sing too loudly. You have to take it for granted. The artist thinks, the whole thing. Sunrises and slow Sunday mornings and water balloons and another person's breath up against your neck. That's your only courageous thing a person can do. It's just so good. It's heartbreaking, this book. So, I don't know. I want to finish it, but I'm just taking my time with it because it's just killing me. This is the book that I'm currently reading. Forget Me Not by Stacey Willingham. Oh, I did read a couple books. I audiobook listened to Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, and I don't know, I've listened to so many books and read so many books, but that's the last one I'll talk about. But I really liked it. I feel like it's gotten a lot of mixed reviews. A lot of people I saw like didn't really care for it, and I get it. I mean, it's a lot different than her usual romance books. It's more like contemporary fiction, I guess, with romance kind of sprinkled in. So if you like Emily Henry for her romance, then I understand like why it might not have been your favorite, but I just love her storytelling and her writing. Like, I read what's that book called? A Million Junes? Or is it A Million Little Junes? No, A Million Junes, written by her, which is almost like it's definitely magical realism, kind of like a science fiction element. It was really good. I really, really liked it. And what else? Oh, When the Sky Fell in Splendor. That is science fiction. So I understand if people just know her for her romance, then I get why, it might not have been what you were looking for, but I thought it was really good. It's sort of like the Evelyn Hugo, the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo vibe to it. But there's this girl, Alice. How many people have we had named Alice? Definitely the Storm book. Maybe just this one. It's a popular character name, isn't it? Okay, so you have Alice, and she's a journalist, and she's finally tracked down Margaret Ives, who is in her 80s, and she comes from this very like infamous family of the 20th century. They're in the tabloids, and there's just so much fodder about this family, and then she just disappears. And so nobody's seen her for decades at this point. And she has finally like tracked her down, figure out where she went, and she is off the coast in Georgia. Okay, so she gets there, and she finally gets her to like say that she can tell her story. She wants to write a memoir, or I guess a memoir of like just what really happened. So Alice meets with her, and then she quickly realizes that there's another journalist there named Hayden, and she's familiar with him and his work, and she's like, what the heck? So Alice meets with both of them, and Margaret meets with both of them, and then she sort of tells them like, here's the deal, we're gonna have a month, and you guys can interview me, and then at the end of this month trial period, I will decide who gets to write the memoir. So they're both sort of like vying for this position, and they're staying in this teeny tiny little town together, where of course they keep like bumping into each other. And you know what I really like about Emily Henry is she never writes like a typical, I mean, I guess you can't really say any, but a typical character for like a story. Like the female is never just this, like Alice in this book is very strong. She just is like, hey, like, and she's like leaving him coffees and like just doing all this stuff that is, they're bold, and I think Alice is bold in this story, and I enjoyed that. I liked that. I liked her character. I guess Hayden is supposed to be kind of like maybe it's a little bit grumpy sunshine, but it's not a romance. Like, so this is just their character traits. Like, they're not enemies to lovers or grumpy sunshine, really. Like, they're just two people who work in the same field and both want the same job. And it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I liked Margaret's story. So it sort of was like a dual timeline. So you're there in this little coastal town with Alice and Hayden, and then you're all over with Margaret and kind of seeing like what she's gone through and what her family has gone through, and this Hollywood lifestyle and glamour and relationships, and she's married to this very famous, almost like a Johnny Cash sort of like figure, or Elvis is who he's like equated to in the book. Just bigger than life, like, musician, and it's just sort of like this big, bold, beautiful life. Like, it's interesting, I think, obviously I'm not 80, but I feel like once you get to that point in your life and you're nearing the end, like, okay, I'm rounding this out now. Like, how many more years do I really have left to live? It must be interesting to really look back on your life from that viewpoint and just see like everything that you've done and everything that you've accomplished and everything that you've been through and all the characters that you've met along the way, and like the mistakes you've made and what you would change. And it's just a pretty commentary on life, I think, this book. And it's people were like, oh, it wasn't as good as Evelyn Hugo, and it's not as salacious. Like, it's not. But it's this beautiful experience of Margaret that she had in her life. And like, I don't know, it's not really focusing on all of the salacious drama of it all, but it's like the bigger picture, I think, of the story. I'm sure if she wanted to tell a story that way, then she could have, but I don't know, I think it's a bigger picture than like all the dramatic details. It's like, this is what I've learned from this experience, and this is what I've taken away from loss and grief, and this is how I've learned to cope with it. And then of course there's like a twist at the end, and you know, I really enjoyed it, and I will buy the physical copy, I think, because I'll want to read it again. But I thought it was a beautiful story, and I had zero complaints. If I had any 5-star read from these that I'm telling you right now, it would be that one. Well, my friends too, but I'm only halfway through with it, so I can't rate it yet. Okay, and then this is my current read. So I've literally just started, and I'm on page 20. So, but I know I've never read this author, but my mom has, and me and my mom, we have, you know, different tastes, but sometimes they do overlap. She loves a mystery, a murder, a thriller, some death and some drama, you know. She's not reading Emily Henry, I'll tell you that. So she's read her, and she likes her. So, what I think I've taken away from it is there's a girl, Claire Campbell, and her older sister disappears and then later is found murdered. And so she moves away. She's in New York City. I think she's a journalist. And she is a journalist. And she doesn't have a great relationship with her parents anymore. She doesn't really speak to them that often. And her mom gets hurt, and she needs to go back home to North Carolina and help take care of her. And I think while she's there, the sister's murder was like maybe 20 years ago, and they sort of like wrapped it up, and it was solved and checked off and done. And then she goes back, and I think she starts sort of like piecing other things together. I'm pretty sure she goes and works on a muscadine farm where her sister had worked previously, and there she starts kind of like uncovering like things that just aren't adding up and aren't right. And so it sounds very good. I will let you know when I have finished it. But yeah, I think My Friends in Big Beautiful Life are my top reads from this haul. I feel like I've been yapping for a very long time. If you have any book recommendations, leave them down below and let me know. I'm always looking for more stuff to read. I like everything. So yeah, cool. Let me know if you've read any of these books too. I'd love to chat about it. Find me on Goodreads. I don't know what my name is on Goodreads. Probably Taylor Foley. So maybe I'll put a link down below to my Goodreads account, and we can be friends there. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.